America was supposed to be the safe harbor. This week, for the first time in 6 years, it stopped acting like one. For more than half a decade, the entire Sussex public narrative has rested on a single, load-bearing premise. Britain rejected them, America welcomed them with open arms, and the exile turned into freedom. It was a genuinely effective marketing story, and it worked precisely because it required almost nothing of the audience except a basic willingness to extend sympathy. A couple wronged by a cold, unforgiving institution, finding refuge in a country that valued them for who they actually were. It worked for a long time because enough people on this side of the Atlantic believed both halves of it simultaneously. But this week, the American half of that story took a hit unlike anything it has absorbed before, and the shift did not come from where anyone expected. If Palace Insider is giving you the definitive story behind the headlines, hitting the subscribe button and turning on notifications ensures you stay updated on every major royal development as it actually breaks. America is tired of them is the kind of headline that circulates constantly in royal coverage, usually meaning very little on close inspection. This time, however, it means something specific, and something that is going to be far harder to reverse than the usual news cycle fatigue. The shift showing up right now in comment sections, in opinion polling, and in the noticeably cooler tone of late-night hosts who have historically treated this couple with real gentleness, is not coming from the demographic you would automatically expect. It is not coming from conservative commentators or royalist Americans who were always going to be critical of the Sussex departure. No, it is coming in significant measure from the same liberal and progressive audience that cheered loudest during the Oprah interview. The very audience that extended the benefit of the doubt again and again is now saying openly, and without much hedging, that they are simply exhausted. Exhausted is the word that keeps surfacing across the coverage. The specific complaint that appears most often is the persistent, glaring gap between a couple who continue to say publicly, across nearly every interview, that all they ever wanted from this entire transition was genuine privacy, and a couple who have never actually stopped producing content about their own private lives for a 6-year stretch running without any meaningful pause. The Netflix docuseries, the Spotify podcast before it quietly ended, the memoir that reproduced private conversations in granular detail, the lifestyle brand launches arriving one after another without a breather. People are noticing, increasingly out loud, that a family whose stated goal was to be left alone by the cameras has been remarkably persistent about staying in front of them. But the thing that actually pushed this from mild content fatigue into something closer to real, sustained backlash was not the general exhaustion with the streaming cycle. It was Invictus specifically. And this is the part of the story that matters most. The part that most coverage this week has vastly undersold. For years, even people who were deeply skeptical of nearly everything else Harry has done since leaving the royal family would stop, pause, and make a specific exception for Invictus. Whatever else you think of him, he built something genuinely real for wounded veterans. A competition that gave people recovering from serious service-related injuries a platform and a purpose that did not exist before he created it. That was the Shield. It was the closest thing this entire saga had to an achievement that felt earned rather than commercially engineered. The one thing that put him in a meaningfully different category from a Hollywood couple simply monetizing their own domestic drama. That Shield is functionally gone now. And that is not an overstatement given the scale and specificity of what has been happening around the games. Military families and veteran advocacy groups, historically the most protective voices around Harry, are turning openly critical. The reason is straightforward once you look at what has actually been dominating the headlines. The games have stopped reading in the public conversation as being fundamentally about the veterans and have started reading as being fundamentally about Harry and Meghan's public presentation. Every recent headline connected to the games has centered on wardrobe choices, on Harry's ongoing security demands, or on whether an embedded Netflix camera crew is capturing the right coverage angles. Meanwhile, there have been reports detailed enough and sourced widely enough to generate genuine anger. But as European veterans covering heavily their own travel, visibility, and military prowess in order to compete, a much more reserved, while the event's royal patron arrives by private jet is taking place within the world's oldest continuous hereditary monarchy. If you are fascinated by how these ancient dynasties are navigating the pressures of the modern world, make sure to hit that subscribe button right now and turn on all notifications. We track these global shifts every single day, keeping you updated on the moves that shape history. What do you think is more crucial for a modern royal? The grueling military training we saw in Spain, or the soft power cultural diplomacy scene in the Netherlands and Belgium? Drop your thoughts in the comments section below. I read every single one. Turning our gaze to Asia, the Imperial Household Agency of Japan has just confirmed a series of deeply symbolic moves for the younger generation of the imperial family. Princess Aiko is preparing for a profound, 2-day spiritual pilgrimage to the Mie Prefecture. This will mark her third official visit to the sacred Ise Grand Shrine, the spiritual heart of the Shinto religion and the ancestral home of the imperial line. It is a quiet, powerful reminder of the ultimate paradox of the Japanese throne, maintaining an unbroken link to antiquity in a hypermodern world. But it is the upcoming journey of her cousin, Prince Hisahito, that carries the heaviest emotional and historical weight. In early August, the young prince will travel to the Hiroshima Prefecture to attend the 19th Nippon Scout Jamboree. On the morning of August 7th, the prince will walk the hallowed grounds of the Hiroshima Peace Memorial Park. There, in a moment of intense national reflection, he will lay a wreath of flowers at the cenotaph, paying his solemn respects to the victims of the atomic bomb. Later that evening, the prince will transition from a mourning nation's representative to a leader of its youth, delivering a major speech to the assembled scouts, helping them pitch tents, and fully immersing himself in the camp's activities. For a young man destined to one day ascend the chrysanthemum throne, this duality of honoring catastrophic history while fostering future generations is the ultimate test of his upcoming reign. From the cockpit of an F-5 fighter jet in Spain to the sacred, quiet shrines of Japan, the reality of modern royalty is clear. The crown is no longer just a symbol of inheritance. It is a demanding, lifelong career of absolute duty, survival, and adaptation.
I have been waiting for this moment, okay? I don't know if everyone knows this, but the royal family has a history, obviously, of covering things up. In 2019, it started getting exposed that Prince Andrew was heavily involved with Epstein. And in 2019, what else started happening? Meghan and Harry were being flooded in the tabloids. And they literally said that in their Netflix documentary. They tried to insinuate that essentially they were being fed, fake stories about them were being fed to the tabloids to cover up the very real scandal that was going on with Prince Andrew. As you can see here, he would just see it play out, like a story would come out about someone in the family, it would pop up for a minute, and they go, we have to make that go away. And then boom, a story or a fake story about Meghan and Harry gets leaked to the press, and then boom, the tabloids are subduing the real drama, the real story, and the truth. The only reason why Prince Andrew is actually getting arrested now, they knew that this is a thing, but it's just the truth has now become so loud they cannot run from it anymore. And the reason why Meghan and Harry were beat down by the press for so many years is because they were just used as a scapegoat and a distraction, and millions of people fell for it, and I'm sure they feel very, very vindicated by this now, especially since they tried to tell us.